I'm Neil from Board Game Happy, and thank you very much for joining me today for a review slash preview of Kavango. This was for me the highlight of UK Games Expo 2023. I got to demonstrate this game very early on the Friday, and I woke up on the Sunday morning thinking, I need to play that again. That was so much fun. And when I went back, I was so excited to see Matt and Zara and to talk about the game and how it's been developed. And they very kindly gave me a preview copy, which I have played to death. This has been one of my favourite games I've played this year, maybe the last couple of years actually, and I love absolutely everything about it. So what I'll do is I will take you down to the table, show you roughly how it sets up and just a couple of quick ideas as to how the game plays. It's fairly simple, so you might be able to get to grasp with it pretty quickly, and then I'll bring you back up to give my final thoughts. Obviously keep in mind this is a preview copy, so it was loaned to me, but all thoughts are definitely my own, and I will 100% be a day one backer when this releases on Kickstarter in September. So yeah, let me take you down to the table, tell you what I think, and then we'll come back up. Okay, cheers. Okay, I've zoomed out a bit to show you all of the components you're going to get, apart from I've just put one player's cubes money there. So I wanted to quickly show you the gorgeous artwork on the player boards, but also the fact that each player board has a slightly asymmetrical start. So this one has the producers of grass and fish as starting. It doesn't have any trees, see it's greyed out, and invertebrates. Whereas this one will have trees and invertebrates as a starting producer, trees and fish, invertebrates and fish, and grass and invertebrates. So depending on the number of players, you need to make up the decks according to this really easy guide. So if you're playing 1 to 2 players, in the first round, players will get 12 cards from the first deck each and 3 action cards. In the second round, 3 action cards each, 6 from the first deck and 6 from the last deck. And then finally, in the last round, players will get 3 action cards and 12 cards from the last deck. This is also a really handy little guide. It shows you all the different types of tags there are in the game, and it also shows you how many there are in total and what's the maximum amount you will ever acquire of any of these. So for example, the most trees any animal will require will be 4. The most bees any animal will ever acquire will be 1. So that's a really handy guide there for you as well. We also have this A, B, C, and D, and E. This is attached to each hand of cards, which is passed around the table. This is used to break ties in the event of action cards being played, because action cards are played before species, animals, producer cards. So you have to carry that out, and that will be carried out in the order in which the person who's got A will go first. So I'll show you a couple of the action cards. This allows you to gain a rewilding card. A rewilding card looks like this, and on a rewilding card you have all 4 producer types. Normally costs you £4, but with this card you can grab one for free. Researcher, we'll go through researchers in a minute. This one you can gain £2, spend it immediately on climate protection, which is a shared protection that everyone needs to work towards. You get a point for playing that card. There's lots of other action cards. I won't go through them all, but that gives you a rough idea of what they do. The final way in which players have asymmetry during the game is everyone is dealt 1 conservation expert. And these have unique powers, which makes each player play slightly differently to each other. And they're really cool. My favourite is the Researcher, which allows you to get a secret research item or task that only you can work on. That takes us nicely on to the research cards. Each round, 4 research cards. So round 1, 4 research cards are revealed and placed here. So let's take this one as an example. During the first round, so that's the first 10 cards played, you need to see how many animals in your reserve are under or 0 to 50 centimeters. As soon as you get to 2, you can claim that. You don't claim it and hold on to it for yourself. When you claim it, everyone else can claim it. So you just put your cube there to say, look, I've got 2 of them. I'm going to get £1 and then 1 point. If later on you get another one, unfortunately, because you've already claimed it once, you can't claim this one again. So you're sometimes better off holding on, especially if you think you're going to be able to get to the big ones. Because look there, if you've got 4+ animals that are 0 to 50 centimeters, you will get £3 and 3 points. So at the end of each round, these are cleared, and you then put the ones on from level 2 and level 3. Now, level 3, I'll give you some examples of these. Number of animals with colour at the start of their name, number of animals shown at night, and so on and so forth. So, what do the animals look like? So what we have here is we have the initial deck. So we have some more producers, some fish basically. We have an impala there. Now, he has a requirement of 1 grass and 2 trees to be able to play him. Plus, you also need to have done poaching level 1. This is your poaching level. To get to level 1, you need to pay 1 of your cubes and place it there. That's done. And if you wanted to do level 2, you already need to have done level 1, and you need to do the 2 cubes required at the same time to do level 2, and so on and so forth. Not many animals require level 4s, but there are big bonuses points-wise for getting both of them to level 4. So that gives you an idea of that one. This one here, this is a lovely reed frog. He requires 2 invertebrates, and he has a climate protection level 1. So this is your climate protection, and depending on the number of players will be how many cubes are required to reach each climate level. For level 1 in a 5-player game, you would need to have 5 cubes there. To place a cube there, you just take 1 of your monies, 1 cube, and place it there. You can place as many as you like. Obviously, everyone's going to be working on this, and there is a bonus for all players that put 8 of their cubes in this area by the end of the game. So that's pretty much everything in relation to the setup and how the cards work. I'll briefly just explain that at the end of the game, you will get points according to how far along here you've got, which is by claiming the different research tasks. There's also a card in here, which I think I showed you before, which gives you a point. Anyway, that one there gives you a point. Spend £2 on climate protection, gain 1 point. You'll also get points for your animals in your tableau. And then there are awards. If you manage to get all 11 tags, you get 10 points. If you spend £8 on climate protection, 10 points. And if you manage to get your habitat and your poaching both to level 4, you get another 10 points. So let me show you how the decks are made and how the game really quickly plays. Okay, in round 1, you're going to have mostly very small animals and producers in your hand. So the game is completely simultaneous. What you're going to do is choose which one of these cards you want to play. Now, you can play an action card, you can play any of these producers. You can play an animal card if you're able to do so, but as you'll see here, I am unable to do that. I don't have any of those. So I currently don't have any trees, so it might not be a bad idea to play a tree. This is absolutely gorgeous artwork, absolutely fantastic. So when you play an extra producer, take the card, pass these to your player on the left, put this face down, and then everyone simultaneously reveals. Action cards are dealt with first, and then everyone places their card. When you place a new producer, place it like that so you're building the tags upwards. Then in a later turn, if I was able to, so I've spent some money here. I can't claim any of these at the moment, but later turn I can play this card, which is a weaver. Requires a level 1 habitat protection, a grass and a tree, which I have a grass, I have a tree, I have a level 1 habitat protection. So on my go, I would place that face down, then once revealing, place this. Now this can go anywhere I like in my tableau, but it's a good idea to put them in columns so you can check to see how many of each tag you have. So you're going to do that 10 times in the first round, passing the cards to the left, playing cards. And once you have finished those 10 goes, everyone's claimed the ones that they want to get, got the money, spent it various different places. You're then going to clear this board, make up deck 2, deal them out, do the same again, 10 more cards, and then you're going to do the same again in the round 3 with the level 2 research cards coming out in the second round, research level cards 3 coming out in the third round. And then I will show you very briefly what your tableau could look like at the end of the game. Okay, so this is my beautiful tableau after 3 rounds of drafting 10 cards each per round. As you see here, I managed to get 3 grass, 3 trees, 3 insects, invertebrates, one of which was a bee, which was needed. This gorgeous honey badger. This is a predator type. It requires level 2 poaching, requires specifically a bee, 1 small mammal, and 2 of those. So yeah, so that was my tableau completed. So that gives you a really good idea of how Kavango plays. Let me take you back up top. I'll tell you my final thoughts. Okay, cheers.
Okay, I hope that gave you a really good idea as to how Kavango plays. As you can probably see, there are some mechanisms in this game, quite a few of them, that have been kind of crafted from other games. So the drafting is very much Seven Wonders style. You have a deck of cards in your hand, you take one, play it, pass the rest to your neighbour. So that's very much that type of drafting. The tag system, Terraforming Mars, Ark Nova type of tags. Obviously, this is nowhere near the level of complexity of those games. And in some ways, because of the instant hit of being able to play these animals so much quicker, with Ark Nova and Terraforming Mars, there's a very slow, gradual build up. With this game, you're able to play animals within 1 or 2 turns, sometimes your first turn if you're lucky, and you just keep on playing animals throughout the whole game, which makes it incredibly exciting. It also has a little bit of touch of the wingspan in terms of those research tasks. Some of them, such as having a colour at the beginning of the name or size of an animal, the weight of an animal. These are all things that people who have played Wingspan are used to with the goals. So it has all of those, but it's its own game. It's very much its own game. It feels so fun to play. Like I say, the thing that I can keep on coming back to is the almost like the dopamine hit of every single turn. Oh look, I can play this one, some points. Oh amazing, I can claim this research, I can do this, and it's constant. There's never a moment of downtime in this game at all. I have played 1 through to 4. I haven't played 5 yet, just one of those things, having an opportunity, but every single player count that I've played, the game length is identical. It is exciting every single turn. There's always something to do. There's always something to work towards. It's brilliant. I absolutely love this game. Now, like I said, I will be a day one backer of this, and I cannot wait to play it again, like the final retail edition, shall we say. But for the 15 or so games I've played of this in the last week and a half, every single one has been exciting. I actually played 4 times yesterday. I loved every single one of them. That was 2 solo and then 2 at 2 player, which I think is my preferred player count 2 player, because when you play at 2 player, you really are keeping an eye on what your opponent is putting in their tableau, and a little bit of hate drafting, which we don't mind, deliberately trying to keep things that you think they may want that you could benefit from as well. Obviously, you're not going to go out of your way to hurt yourself when you're drafting these animals and producers, but it certainly really helps that you can keep an eye on each other's tableau and what you're doing. Talking of the tableau, the artwork is so good. It's got this muted heat shimmery player board, which looks gorgeous. And then you're putting on these animals, which have got these very dark outlines on them, and they kind of pop out of the card. It looks so good on there. Every single card looks amazing, and it looks so good when you've finished. It's such a beautiful game. And it's really simple to learn. I played one game the other day where I taught 3 people who had never played, and within 2 turns, I didn't need to give them any more instructions. It's that easy to get them going. And all 3 of those people wanted to play again immediately after we'd finished playing. They loved it. So it's just brilliant. One of those people was a bit more of a heavier gamer, and they were just as much enamored with it as well, which was brilliant. Solo's interesting. My first couple of games of solo, I did play wrong, so that's my fault. But even though I was playing it wrong, you have some basic instructions you have to adhere to for the Oppo player. Now, the Oppo player very specifically just wants to fill their tableau with animals, and they will just keep on pushing those animals, which pushes you along. You're having to manage both boards, and you're seeing that they've already done 3, 4 animals, and you've only done 1. What's going on? And it gives you a real urgency. It really spurs you on to play better. I really like the solo mode, actually. I was a bit lukewarm on it the first couple of times, maybe because I was playing it wrong. But now I've got used to it and played it maybe 5, 6 times. I'm really, really enjoying it. Score ranges ranges. We've seen scores as low as 125, 128, as high as 173, I think. Quite often the difference between first and last place isn't that vast, but you can feel towards the end of the third round as though you are falling behind your opponents when they're just playing big animal after big animal and you're still struggling to get certain things done. So you can kind of feel in the last round that you have lost, and quite often that is accurate if you're not able to play the big animals and they are just playing the bigger one after the big one. But that's fine because it's a fairly quick game and you can just shuffle up again and restart. Now, talking of shuffling, I really like the way you've got the two separate decks, and it gives you a really nice feeling of progression because the first deck is made up of smaller animals and the producers, and then when you create the second deck, it's got half those smaller animals and the producers, and then some of the big animals. So in the second round, you're starting to sneak in the odd big animal. Now in the third round, it's made up of just those big animal deck, and you're able to, hopefully, if you played well, play one big animal after another, and it gives you a lovely feeling of progression. Doesn't slow the game down at all because you're getting lots of different tags all over the place, so you're never really at a point where you don't know what to do. I've never had a point where I've gone, well, none of these cards in my hand are any good. Every single turn I've got good choices. It's a positive feedback loop, which I wish more games would go to. I wish more games would make it more about the fun, less about the hard work. And this game is all about the fun, but it's not throwaway fun. It is exciting. It is really enjoyable every single time I play it. So that gives you a rough idea of Kavango. I have very few negatives. It is a table hog. It does take up a lot of space. And if you're playing at 5, you're going to need to extend your table or something. At 4, we just about squeezed onto a decent sized table. But yeah, it is a table hog. It really, that's it. I've got no other negatives to give you for Kavango. I absolutely love this game. This is gonna be, I think it's going to do very, very well. I think people are going to be talking about this game as a kind of gateway game, similar to what Seven Wonders and Wingspan did a few years ago. This definitely feels like I've been very lucky to play this game at the ground floor, because I think this one is going to skyrocket. I think this game is going to be do amazing things for Mazaza Games. Matt and Zara are amazingly lovely people, and if ever you get a chance to meet them at a convention or a games meetup, I highly recommend it. They are so lovely and their enthusiasm for the game is so infectious. So yeah, I think I've run out of things to say now. I love everything about Kavango. Please, in September, back this Kickstarter. You will not regret it. If you like enjoyable, interactive, fun, beautiful games, Kavango is the game for you. So anyway, I'm Neil from Board Game Happy. Thank you very much for watching this preview review of Kavango. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, you can come and find me on Twitter and Instagram at Board Game Happy, and I would love to hear what you think of this video in the comments. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Cheers!